ahead.
I'm Lainey.
And I'm Laura Beth.
And we are Steel Magnolias.
Two sisters who love family, traditions, and all things Southern.
We've got plenty of room at our table, so pull up a chair.
Well, welcome to the Steel Magnolias podcast.
Yes.
We are glad to have you all here with us. I'm feeling very comforted at this moment because I just ate some comfort food.
All right. Tell me what you ate today.
If you follow us on Instagram, which you should do, more on that in a minute, you will see the gooey grilled pimento cheese sandwich with bacon that I had with some chicken soup today. It was glorious.
Sounds glorious, yes.
I'm kind of holding the smell of the bacon that I fried to go on my grilled cheese. Oh, it's so good. So anyway, hopefully you are having a good week so far. We've had a really fun time.
We've had a great week.
And we sent a bunch of people to see Gone with the Wind when it came into theaters. It's still in theaters for a few more dates, the 17th and 18th of March. So if you're not following us on Instagram, pause this podcast.
Today's the day.
Or go over right now on your smartphone and type in Steel Magnolias podcast and follow us there. We are going to be giving away more tickets to upcoming films, including To Kill a Mockingbird, which is coming out March 24th and 27th in theaters. They're having a re-release of that classic film, and we're going to be giving away a bunch of tickets this week. So follow us on Instagram for more details on how to go see that movie. And we wanted to start by just kind of touching on what a great film that is.
Yes. We say on this podcast that we want to hold on to the good parts of the South.
Yes.
And I think that movie has a lot of the bad parts of the South. But I tell you what, Atticus Finch is a good part of the South. Like, we need more men, more women who carry that just courage to stand up for what's right in the midst of what culture says.
Yes.
And,
being willing to look like the outsider yourself with your way of thinking.
Yeah. I just was, I rewatched that movie, recently just so I would, have the refresher, and wow, I was just wowed by him.
Yeah.
And Gregory Peck did such an amazing job in that role.
Yeah.
But, just how he modeled courage to his children, and I was just blown away.
Well, here's what's interesting. When movies come out now, oftentimes our first sort of awareness of it is through the trailer.
Yeah.
We see a preview before another film.
Do I even want to see this? Or
we see it on social media, and there are some really great movie trailers. It's like an art form.
It is.
On how to cut a great trailer. My background is in marketing films, and so I just know that there are certain even studios and film houses that specialize in just trailer cutting.
Wow.
You have 2 to 2.5 minutes to tell a story that's,
and entice
2 hours long.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to do, to capture people and to really get the message across of what the film is. But what's funny is I think a lot of times we forget that movie trailers existed back on some of these old movies. So I went back and watched the trailer for To Kill a Mockingbird, and it's very different than movie trailers today.
Okay.
For one, Gregory Peck sits down on a stool and starts to talk about the film.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just scenes from the movie. So
that's unheard of now.
Right. So he, as you mentioned, he plays Atticus Finch. And the quote that he says to set up the film, I just thought I would share because it really captures the film well. He says, "The world never seems as fresh and wonderful, comforting and terrifying, as good and evil as it does when seen through the eyes of a child. For a writer to catch that feeling is remarkable. Perhaps that is why one book in the last few years has been so warmly embraced by millions of people."
Wow.
So, of course, he's talking and referring to Harper Lee, who authored To Kill a Mockingbird, the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel. Mm-hmm. And anyway, and then it, you know, then it goes into some scenes of the movie. But it's just so interesting to see the way that
how that was done
was, you know, marketed then.
Well, one of my favorite quotes in that movie, I just jotted this down because as we're talking again about holding on to the good parts of the South, I love this quote. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it.
Wow.
And that is really powerful in this day and age. I just think about, I feel like we've lost that as a culture where people just feel like they have to tell their opinion and they haven't even looked at what another person's perspective might be before having their thing they want to say. And so more of that is needed in every realm of society.
Yeah. That quote is wild because, you know, I've heard the saying, you haven't walked a mile in his shoes.
Yeah.
But walking in someone else's skin is a very different thing. That is head to toe.
And this movie deals so much with skin color.
Right.
That I think that makes it even more powerful to think about. I don't want to give too much away of the story, but
a lot
it's
of people
the segregated South,
Yeah.
and it's a crime story. Mm-hmm. So thinking about, you know, I was even really moved rewatching it and seeing an all-white male jury. That would be really difficult as a woman.
Yes.
That would be really difficult in many scenarios, but as a black man?
Yeah, anything that is skewed that much in only one representation
is very scary.
For a jury.
Yeah. Very scary.
Yes.
So that there's also a scene in that movie that was really moving to me where Atticus Finch's son is sitting in the car and he is having an interaction with a man who spits in Atticus's face. And he says nothing, and the only thing he does is reach into his pocket and pull out his handkerchief to wipe his face. And his son sees all of that.
Wow.
And I just thought, wow, what a moment to get to teach that to your child in a very practical way. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't throw a punch. He turned the other cheek.
Big time.
And it was just a powerful scene. So I just say more of that.
Yeah.
More Atticus Finch.
Yeah. Well, it is very challenging to stretch ourselves to be around people that aren't like us. Mm-hmm. But that shouldn't stop us, right, from at least trying.
That's right.
Even if it goes badly. I just, I'm thinking, we were talking before we started recording today about, should we take a friend or an acquaintance that we might not really know well or that is different than us to go see this film. So
yeah, that's just an encouragement to maybe go with some. You don't have to tell them, let's go because we're different, but just stretching yourself to go with somebody, be that to lunch or to this movie, just to even practice that, putting yourself in someone else's life and thinking through what that might look like.
Yeah. That's good. Well, I'm excited. It's coming back to theaters. I'm actually reading the book before I go see it because I read the book in probably high school or middle school, whatever age that was on the required reading and haven't since. So, I'm excited to have the book comparison to the movie when it's out later this month.
That's awesome.
Well, we record on Sundays, which helped us very easily come up with our topic for today, which is Sunday dinner in the South.
That's right.
So we wanted to talk about everything from where this really came from to typical recipes or items you would see at a gathering to crock pots, which are sometimes an integral piece, and then even the kind of church or neighborhood potluck,
Yeah.
which is sometimes also on a Sunday. So,
well, when I think of Sunday dinner in the South, I kind of have a visual even of just a porch filled with rocking chairs and people sitting in those rockers with dogs laying next to them on that porch, and screen doors pulled open and slamming shut, and sweet tea glasses sitting around, and good smells coming from the kitchen, kids kind of running all over the place, and a couple of added card tables because there's not enough room at the dining room table. Those are just kind of some of my visual.
Gingham paper tablecloths over them so the kids' table doesn't have a mess or a spill.
Yeah. Well, what'd you find on the history?
Well, I was just digging around a little bit, but Sunday supper is a midday, or rather the main meal on Sunday, sometimes called Sunday dinner.
Uh-huh.
And you typically, back when, would not have said Sunday lunch.
No.
You would have said Sunday dinner.
Yeah. Supper would be for evening, usually.
Right. Yeah. So, it's more likely to occur a little later in the afternoon, kind of in that noon to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because of church.
That's right.
People are occupied with attending church in the morning, and the practice of Sunday supper originated with families gathering after church for a full meal in England and Europe, and those are countries that are deep with Christian heritage.
Yeah.
And today, Sunday supper continues, as a special time for families, but it's far less common. That's just because of our schedules and just demands and detachment from church-going rituals as well, for sure. And
even people don't live in the same city as their relatives,
that's
whereas
true.
it was often kind of around a family.
That's true.
You invited others.
But even sports commitments have started to
encroach on
eclipse on church, and therefore the rest of the day, just other sorts of participatory events in kids' lives and modern day pools for our schedule.
Yeah.
So it is funny. There's a Sunday supper movement website.
I know. I found this too. I didn't know about it until I was looking at this subject.
So they offer, online food community with recipes, events, and, just different ways to,
funny, isn't it?
in their way, modernize Sunday supper and create a little brand. But it does encourage families, the website encourages families to cook and sit down to eat together. And we just commend them for that.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think on Sundays, while, yes, schedules are busy, people typically are not in quite the hurry.
Right.
That they are any other days of the week. Again, in the South, still, quite a few people have been to church, and that's kind of what this is also based on.
Yeah.
Is you invite maybe the pastor or priest or visiting speaker or whatever to come over, and so just the timing, and then you've been with people. You're in a good mood, hopefully, from that
dressed
time.
For the day.
And
you're already dressed.
It's an easy transition and you're hungry by that point.
Right.
So
that's right.
All of that kind of played in. I think now our culture just has this hurry up and eat syndrome that is kind of frustrating to me. I get in that mode too sometimes.
Right.
But you and I have both had the privilege to travel a little bit, and I think this is still mostly an American problem. The hurry up and eat thing.
Absolutely.
In European countries, especially Italy, France, places like that, like the meal time is the entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not
exactly
what you do before the entertainment. It is the entertainment.
Yes.
So waiters and waitresses in those places find that strange that we need to hurry because we have tickets to this thing.
Right.
And they're like, oh, like that's kind of shocking that you're hurrying this meal.
But it would even be, I would think, from a server standpoint, kind of frowned upon if you're just basically holding the table. Like if you're just lingering
here, they're like, we got to turn this table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from both sides, culture wise,
it is funny. But I think that Sundays, there's still maybe a little bit more of the slow down and enjoy conversation.
I think so. Yeah.
Than you see other days of the week.
Exactly.
At least.
Yeah. We'll still count it as the slowest.
Yeah.
Of the 7 days.
There you go.
It may not be slow, but it's the slowest.
And I even think, the tradition of this, even, in our growing up, I'm not talking about a super long time ago, people didn't go out to eat very often. That was very rare.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty much a given you were going to go home to have a meal.
Yeah.
People didn't have the money to go out to eat all the time, especially for a whole family.
Exactly.
So, there weren't even a lot of choices of restaurants like there are now.
True.
There's so many. But anyway, I was thinking about that's probably another reason that was so big.
Yeah. So what are the foods that you think of most right off the top of your head when you're thinking Sunday supper?
Okay, when I think Sunday supper, I think fried chicken.
Okay.
I think roast with
pot
potatoes
roast.
and carrots.
That was number one on my list.
Okay. Chicken and dumplings was kind of a popular thing, which I personally is not a favorite of mine. I don't like the chicken and dumplings thing. That kind of even a roast chicken or a ham, something on a platter. For some reason, I picture a meat on a platter.
Yeah.
Kind of a
warm foods, though. I mean, primarily a meat. Even a chicken pot pie.
Oh, yeah.
Very comfort food. But that could have, been made ahead of time and then bake right when you get home. Or, which we're talking crock pots here in a minute for that very reason. Timing is difficult with some of these things that need a long time to cook. But you could stick a ham in, turkey. I would say potatoes is definitely just some sort of potato
that's going to be in the mix.
Is got to be.
I think one beautiful thing about the South is and we have some beautiful things in the summer: corn, tomatoes, okra, just all these wonderfully fresh things. And then what you would have seen a long time ago, not so much now, is they would then can that stuff.
Right.
And you'd have the same things, just canned versions later.
All year long.
That's right.
Yes.
And including jams with your biscuits and some of that kind of thing. So I also commend some of these just true Southern women. And it could have been men too. I don't mean to, but usually, let's face it was the women who were making on Saturday the pies, the cakes.
Absolutely.
Getting some of the stuff ready so that the timing, it made it look easy.
It sure did.
Oh, we just warmed this up and whipped this up. But they'd been working on it all weekend, getting the stages of that together. And so I just think about how much we need to commend some of these women that make this look
the pie
easy.
Makers.
It's not easy.
I would say meatloaf would be another one I would add to the mix. And if we have any favorite recipes of any of this, we'll put it in our show notes. Because when I say meatloaf, there is a cookbook that you gave me, actually, Food That Says Welcome.
Oh, yeah.
By Barbara Smith. I love her meatloaf. So if any of these are sparking hey, we need to put the recipe for something up in our show notes, we'll do that.
I also think one important thing about a Sunday dinner or supper that I think about is just the saying of grace, too. Mm-hmm. Like often you would see, if you had invited your pastor or somebody like that, maybe they would do it. Mm-hmm. But often it was the head of the house, the man of the house would do it or something like that. And I just think that's even a sweet piece of a Sunday dinner. And even just also wanted to mention that multi-generationalness of that meal. And I always love that.
Social and table skills, right?
Yes.
It encourages that and gives a place to practice. Great place to practice.
Great way to hear stories of the other generations for both sides, both sides. And so I love anything that gets people telling stories and history and learning personalities and all of that come with multi-generational.
But I do think that we have to give a place for practice, for table skills.
Safety.
Even if you're accustomed to sitting down as a family on a very pretty regular basis, there's still that comfort that starts to happen if you're just speaking to your mom or your dad or both or a sibling or. And
we've mentioned this before, but there needs to even be promptings by the older parents or something to say, hey, Carol, ask her about that play she was in.
Yeah.
You were mentioning you thought that was neat. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like kind of giving them promptings of how to even do that.
Yeah. So as much as I think we sort of believe that even the teens or, tweens are rolling their eyes at this sort of thing, the number one sort of experience I go back to, and I've shared this with you many times before, was when I was a leader in Young Life, which is an organization that is worldwide and reaches out to primarily high school students. Mm-hmm. And they have a fantastic camp program.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is far above a lot of other summer camp type places that you'd probably imagine. We're talking, 1,500-foot mountain hikes in Colorado and zip lining and horseback riding and just extremities.
Skiing, all kinds of
beautiful properties.
Lakes.
All over the country and actually worldwide. But at the end of each week, which they always claim will be the best week of your life or your money back.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
All of the youths, or not all, but a lot of the youth students, the majority, said their favorite thing about camp was the dining hall, meaning the time where we sat down in circular tables.
Okay.
And they were served a meal, and we just had conversation. And I just think, even if we think those teens are rolling their eyes at the fact that they have to sit down or they have to stay at the table
and not
until
have their
everyone's
phone with them, hopefully.
done, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They secretly need it and love it.
That's right. I agree.
If Sunday supper is the only time during a week when your family can do this because of schedules, then that could be, an integral part of the kind of development of your kids. So,
I love that. I came across a book that was interesting. Just looked at it online. Like I didn't actually hold the book.
Okay.
That was called Sunday Dinner in the South.
Hey.
The author's name is Tammy Allgood. And it was just a lovely book.
Okay.
Had some stories from different pastors of different churches in the South.
Oh, fun.
Different things like that. But also just, lovely layout of recipes.
Okay.
And different things like that. So that might be something if you want to look at a particular book. There's tons of different ones out there. But I thought that one was really pretty.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it is kind of critical, like we mentioned, to have the timing right. And if you do go to church, then you may have to lean into your crock pot to be doing the cooking while you're away. So I will just be upfront and say I have more recipes that are in the failed category
of crock pot
for crock pot cooking that I'm not going to repeat than I do of ones that I am repeating, but that's just kind of the way you got to get into a groove of finding your go-to recipes. So I only have a few, but I really like these few.
Well, hit us with them.
It took a long time, I feel like, to get here, and I'll just spare you of the bad ones that aren't worth it. For appetizers, I like to do this for either if I'm going somewhere, and I want to contribute a hot appetizer, or if I'm doing this at my own house. I just love having some frozen meatballs thrown into a crock pot and throw in some grape jelly and chili sauce.
Chili sauce.
Heinz chili sauce.
That's a very good one.
So good. And then you can just keep it on warm.
And it's hearty, too. It's
yeah.
Not, that's something that is pretty hearty.
And especially if you know your meal still needs some cook time, when everybody's going to start showing up.
Have that and some pimento cheese and you're good to go.
Pimento cheese and some sweet tea or lemonade would be fantastic, and would definitely maybe keep some folks out from under your elbows while you're trying to finish the meal.
That's good.
During the week, I love doing a Catalina chicken, but I've done this for churches or during church hours as well. Literally
easy.
Frozen chicken breasts and top it with a bottle of Catalina salad dressing. I like to throw in some either honey or cranberry sauce. But you don't even have to. I've done it with just the chicken and the Catalina dressing, and it's still good. So
put it on some rice, make some rice or something like that. So
that's easy, and that's hearty too. And then the other one I would mention is one that I typically prepare and is done as a freezer meal.
Okay.
But if you're, setting up your Sunday dinner and know that on Saturday you're going to be making this, just go ahead and have it ready. You just cut up some beef, and I'll put the recipe on the show notes. But you make a beef stroganoff. So all you have to cook
is that pasta
are the egg noodles when you get home, or when you're
That's a great idea.
ready for the supper to begin. So beef stroganoff, Catalina chicken, and meatballs. Those are my 3
good go-tos
favorite crock pots. But I would love to hear others.
Well, this one's not a crock pot, but it's a favorite Sunday kind of thing for me, because you cook it in the oven, but in a Dutch oven, in a really slow in the oven.
Yeah.
And that's a weekend brisket. So
yum.
it's really good, and you cook it on 250 for several hours, and then but that makes it super easy because it cooks 4 to 5 hours.
Yum.
So then if I get it going in the morning, it's done.
Yep.
When I get home, and
so you don't have to do anything to it really while in that 4 to 5 hours.
You don't
Nice.
It's just cooking slow.
Yeah.
And so then obviously you're going to want something to go with that.
Yeah.
I'll often make already have the scallop potatoes ready that just need to be heated real fast, and maybe some green beans, things that
There's your critical potatoes for the meal.
That's right. So that's not a crock pot, but it's still a slow cooked and ready when you get home from church. I don't do a ton in the crock pot for entrees. I mean, I do a lot of soups and taco kind of stuff, but I do have a cheesy cauliflower.
So good.
Spicy crock pot cauliflower, and it kind of gives me that feel of a mac and cheese, but not quite so unhealthy.
I don't even like cauliflower, and I like your cheesy cauliflower, because you do forget it's cauliflower, I think.
Okay.
I don't think my husband does. I think it's all he can think about, but it's very comparable to a mac and cheese.
So we could throw those recipes up. That's a couple that are...
Let's do that. Well, that is a nice little kind of, I would say, teaser on Sunday supper. Mm-hmm. Also critical and important are events like a potluck.
Yeah.
Which also sometimes happen on Sunday.
Often, yeah.
And this is always a win-win, because you're going to get to taste all different bites of all sorts of things.
Of all kinds of things. I love that churches often used to have a fellowship hall.
Yes.
That's what it would be called, was the fellowship hall, that most of the time had those long tables always set up, and that's where you would often have meals together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would even have a little kitchen off to the side or something like that.
I was cracking up when we were looking at different places to have our wedding, and some of the, more old school churches were, set up to... You can either rent the church, or it's an additional fee if you need the fellowship hall. And, they knew, this is a reception-esque sort of event.
That's
so you need something for the fellowship hall.
So sweet. Also, we've talked about just how big funerals can be in the South.
That's true.
They're usually, those fellowship halls are full of home-cooked food by the church to serve the family, which is really sweet, too.
Absolutely.
Love the whole fellowship hall potluck situation that happens in churches. And
so typically a potluck, whether it's on Sunday or any other day or night of the week, is casserole central.
Oh,
right?
Gosh, yes.
Did we think that's where casseroles maybe even came from?
Well, they do travel well, so I don't know if that's how that came about, and certainly in the South, if you are frequenting those, it's nice to have that casserole carrier.
Yes.
Too.
That's a good gift.
There's
a little
great
side
gift.
note. If there's a Mother's Day gift or a birthday gift you're looking for someone, get them a casserole carrier.
That's right. But yeah, I think those... You'll see all kinds of casseroles, many even overlaps of different... Mm-hmm. And lots of them have cheese on it, but you're going to see a lot of those at potlucks.
Well, we crack up sometimes because a lot of the events that we go to, we're both together, and we like to skip the store-bought
items.
Yeah. Just all together.
That's I can I'm going for the homemade, and I even feel like, no matter what church you're a part of, those people.
Oh, yeah.
That are the good cooks. If in our particular situation, I want to know, what did Lisa Browning and Suzanne Stroud bring? Because I know both of those are going to be good.
Well, and even just looking at the containers that stuff is brought in, you can tell, right? What dishes are seasoned, what's, and of course, it's good to also bring stuff in disposable containers so you don't have to worry about it picking up your dish afterward. But there's some old school good cooks out there that bring their same dish every time, and it has had its
almost
day.
Look forward to what's going to be there.
So I like looking for, like we said, the homemade items, skipping all the store-bought stuff. I love deviled eggs.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm always going to try some deviled eggs if those are out. And
I just heard the funniest thing. I don't know if I told you this, Laura Beth. It said, how come I can only eat 2 eggs scrambled or fried, but I can eat 40 if they're deviled?
It's true.
That was so funny.
That's so true. And they're hearty. I mean, it's like, it's a hard-boiled egg, so it's even more
I don't know what it is.
Weight to it. Yeah, I can eat those.
It made me laugh because I was like, that is real.
Deviled eggs. I love all the fruits and,
ambrosia.
That reminds me of that scene in The Help, that movie where Minnie, who is one of the maids, she makes great fried chicken, but she makes good everything, and they're all excited. Did Minnie bring her ambrosia over to the bridge club? So the ambrosia. Ambrosia is just fruit fluff, really. Yeah. But it's good. I mean, Philip, my husband, doesn't like it at all.
Doesn't like anything like that. What about the that wonderful pretzel strawberry salad? Do you know what I'm talking about?
His mom makes that, and I love
potluck thing. There's so many.
The strawberry salad. That's a great one. What else?
Oh gosh, just
pies, right?
Tons of pies, cobblers. Oh, cobblers. I love summer because you can make those wonderful cobblers.
The only thing that's tough about cobblers at a potluck is you want it warm.
You want it warm, and I like a little ice cream on it. And you can't do that there. But,
typically it's already been cooled down if it's been sitting in the fellowship hall all day.
That's true. Maybe a caramel cake would be something that would be a yummy southern dessert.
Yeah. Well, one of the other moves that I've seen people start to do is kind of create a potluck theme. So like a taco bar, like it's not a free for all, but I'm the host or the lead person's going to provide the meat, and then everybody else is supposed to bring all the fixings. So that's kind of fun too. Is fun. I would typically probably bring like guacamole because I love avocados. So that's one thing I've seen, kind of the trend from free-for-all potlucks move towards like some sort of a theme, and I think taco bars is definitely one of the more popular ones. What else would you say about potlucks and crock pots? And
I just think it's one of the beautiful things about potlucks to me is nobody had to wear themselves out cooking. I mean, everybody's chipping in, so it's not like one person has had to either spend all of the money or do all of the sweat equity of this thing happening. Like everybody's pitched in, and
I love that.
Makes it nice.
Yeah, you get to all enjoy it together. Well, we obviously love to eat. We're going to be going to a special event tonight here in Franklin, so we're excited to maybe even have some more food items to share.
Yeah, I didn't eat much today, so I would be hungry tonight.
Well, follow us on Instagram. We'll be posting photos of some of our favorites.
Food tonight.
We'll be tasting about for, I think, 2 hours. We get to taste food, so We've prepped our minds and gotten us mentally prepared via our conversation today. But do follow us on Instagram so you can be a contender for our tickets to see To Kill a Mockingbird and other giveaways and fun things that we'll be doing in the future. And if you're sitting there listening and you're saying, I really like these girls, go ahead and hit subscribe and make sure you do that so that you are notified each time we release a new episode so that you don't have to remember to go and listen. It'll give you that push notification.
Well, we're just so glad that you guys listened. We don't take that for granted. We appreciate you, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
Thanks, y'all.